I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. On this episode, we celebrate 2024 Holy Cross Varsity Club Hall of Famer Kalif Raymond. Kalif was a two-sport star at Holy Cross from 2012 to 2016 in both football and track. In 4 outstanding years with Crusader football, he tallied more than 4,000 all-purpose yards. And don't forget, on the track, he broke the school record in the 60-meter dash. Today, he's a wide receiver flashing that speed for the Detroit Lions, who played in the NFC Championship last season for the first time in 33 years. And they look like a legit Super Bowl threat again this year. On Saturday, November 16th at 6 p.m., Kalif will be inducted into the 2024 class of the Holy Cross Varsity Club Hall of Fame at the Hogan Campus Center. Kalif, great to see you. Thanks for taking time away from practice, and welcome to Sader Stories.
Oh man, appreciate you guys. How he said Hogan. Starts to bring back memories already. No, appreciate you guys having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So
It's been almost a decade since you were last on campus as a football player. The
don't
memories
say
are
that out loud too much.
now.
They already calling me old. So
How did you first find out about this Hall of Fame induction?
um, wow, how did I first? So actually one of my teammates, Gary Aqua, who it's kind of like let's say teammate, but Gary, John, Irv, George, they were kind of like our big brothers coming in. So we actually called him. I'm thinking he's just to catch up, and come to find out he's the head of the committee and things like that. And he's like, "Man, you got inducted to the Hall of Fame." And I was like, "You dialed the right number." Gary ended up letting me know, which is it was really cool to hear his voice, but to also be inducted as something as honorable as this is pretty cool as well. So
That's a great way to find out. Gary's doing big things in
it
Boston
is.
State now.
Yeah, we're it's funny because those guys are leading the way. Especially when we kind of have like a mentorship program, but Gary, Aqua, John Smith, I mean that we were kind of seeing what they're doing, their path, their careers, not only being football players, but being academics as well. They're going on to do bigger, better things after college. So they kind of paved the way for us. So we always kind of keep in like, how are we doing based on, where they're kind of showing the trail. So it's been cool.
This is such a great honor for any Crusader. When you think back specifically to your football and maybe even your track career at Holy Cross, what do you believe made you stand out as a Hall of Famer?
I mean, to be honest, it's humbling more than anything because it's not something where you hear the Hall of Fame thing before. You're inducted to your school's Hall of Fame, and you hear it often a lot with other people. So it was not something that it's something that sounded really cool, but not something I thought that like, oh yeah, that's a possibility that could happen to me. So that's what I was when he called me. I was so shocked because it was something that I always projected to like somebody else, it happening to somebody else. So in order to be inducted I mean it's a blessing. It's humbling on me. That's why that's why you're naming off a lot of the stats and things like that. And I'm just like, man, I don't even know if it's enough. Like, because there's so many names in there that are just outstanding people. So to be in that category, people that have also been inducted, and to put Holy Cross and what they've done after college into such a spotlight, and it's humbling. I hope I'm done enough and I continue to do enough to be deserving of it. So
And probably a little surprising too, just considering you grew up playing football in Georgia. Holy
yeah,
Cross is not a household name
yeah.
in the Georgia high school football scene. How did Holy Cross first land on your radar?
Oh wow, it was actually it was a blessing in disguise. So I was at a private high school in at least the latter part of my high school, and I ended up breaking my ankle my senior year playing football, and I didn't have any offers, anything like that. But I was because of the school I was at, my friends, everything, they were always talking about SATs and all kind of things like that, and what college they were going to. So I knew I wanted to have something that would have both football, and sports, but it was just as prominent as academics were. And they kind of the school that I was at, and a lot of my best friends, they were kind of teetering me towards that idea. And I broke my ankle my senior year in football, and I had no offers. I'm telling them, hey, you guys take this up because I don't have any offers. So we're gonna have to figure this. I gotta go back there and play. And they're like, no, like you're done for you're done for the season. And I was really really stressed. And then Lawrence Nelson's gonna be my my best friend's dad. I just remember him from the stands. He was yelling, like, "You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right." And I remember he said that gave me such comfort, but I didn't know what was in store too because he actually sat me down, had me go to ESPN, and he had me look up every single school in each category in each division. So I had anywhere between 730 to 800 emails of schools that I was sending out. But he sat me down, gave me the computer, and told me to do it. And out of all the emails, I sent out a lot of emails. I want to say Holy Cross, Lehigh, Mercer, and maybe Georgetown a little bit were the only schools that were like legitimately interested. Everybody else kind of I got an automated message or they weren't really interested. But those are the schools that were actually interested. And I'm coming off a broken ankle, so I'm like, man, any shot, please, just somebody give me a shot. And I remember Mr. Lawrence actually took me to the official visit, and I hadn't had an offer yet. I have on maybe two sweaters, a Letterman jacket. I wore boots to make me look taller. I had on two or three pair of socks to make me look taller. I needed to look better because I just came off of surgery. And I remember walking around the school. I met some of my best friends there too on the same visit. And that was my first time ever hearing of really Holy Cross, ever hearing of anything in Massachusetts at that point in time. But I was looking at Coach Gilmore's eyes like, please give me an offer. And that's how it all came about. So a blessing in disguise. Having broken my ankle senior year, it really got me a lot closer to Mr. Lawrence, and it got me to my great alma mater as it is now. So, yeah, never heard of it prior to, but that whole sequence of things got me to Holy Cross. My only offer too. So,
Wow. Thank
yeah,
goodness
that was a
Coach
lot. Yeah, I'm sorry.
right?
Yeah, trying to come back to a lot of information in a little bit of time. So,
I love that. So you join a Holy Cross football program in 2012 that wasn't great yet, just two
yep.
wins that season, but the program grew a lot during your
Yeah, it did.
4 year career there. You stacked up all Patriot League honors. When you think back to that era, what brings you the most pride about those teams?
There's a lot about being on campus at Holy Cross, and being a student athlete at Holy Cross. It's to go through that and to balance both. I'm very appreciative of those teams, those guys, because we all did it together. And not to mention, I mean, we're in Massachusetts, and it's not the easiest weather either, but we're still out there practicing, grinding, being away from family. But to balance being a student and an athlete at Holy Cross was something that probably may go unnoticeable to the common eye, but it was definitely a challenge, and we had to lean on each other to do it because I remember, for instance, I'll never forget. Um, I was minoring or attempting to minor in computer science at one point, and this is balance between a student and athlete. And I practiced that day. I walk in at 6:37 in the morning, trying to get ahead a little bit, because I also had to do my major, which ended up being econ. And I walk in, and there's somebody in the back. They're working on a project in the computer science lab, and I'm like, I'm going to spend an hour and a half get some stuff done before I have to go to breakfast and everything, which is mandatory because we're athletes, so we had to balance that as well. Go to class, go to practice. I come back and it's 7 at night after study hall. And I'm like, I'm going to finish this after I get my problem sets done for econ. And the same guys in there in the back. And eventually I'm working on a project and I muster up the courage, like, hey man, what are you working on? And he was working on the same project that I was, but he had been there for 12 hours. I was like, man, I have 2 hours to put on this, 2 hours ago for this problem set. And then I have to sleep because I have not only did I just come from practicing meetings, but I have practicing meetings tomorrow. So I was one amongst 90 other guys going through kind of the same things and balancing being a student athlete at Holy Cross. And it paid so many dividends as a person, paid dividends as a player, balancing both hard work mentally, which helps me now. This is such a mental game too. But just learning how to balance that, it really, really set me forward as far as becoming just being an adult and being an even athlete now later in life. So
And on top of all of those academic rigors and what it takes to be a great football player, you threw track in there too.
oh
Great
yeah.
athletes are getting tough to find in D1 sports, and
Yeah.
scheduling right there is a good reason why. How did you find the time to excel in both?
Oh, it's funny. I don't know much of Excel. Some of that was a guy given a little bit from a time perspective because so I remember during that time it was Coach Gilmore. Coach Gilmore, great coach too, as far as like setting us up what we went to do and managing time. I remember I went to him. I think the first year he didn't let me do it, but the second year I was like, "Hey, coach, I want to run track." He's like, "You know what? You can run track, but you can't miss a single football thing." And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't realize during that time what that meant. So football and track happened at the same time with spring ball. So I would actually go to track practice in my football pants,
Wow.
bring my helmet and shoulder pads and sit them down. We would try to do like a couple handoffs. And from there, I would go down to the bottom because we did that on the other track. Down at the bottom was a football field. And after I did a couple handoffs, once the football team came out, I'll run down to and try to go do some football practice. So definitely not the easiest thing in the world balancing both. I actually think though it did help me a lot later too because my pro day my senior year I was running track and it helped me kind of keep my speed to run a faster pro day. So it ended up working out, but balancing both was no joke. So I kind of tried to do as much as I could, but eventually the lack of conditioning kind of caught up to me at the end. So
Well, it paid off major dividends in the NFL. And what I love about your career is I see a theme. Coming out of high school, nothing was given. You had to literally go fishing on the internet to find someone to give you a chance to play.
yeah.
I feel like your NFL career was the same. Undrafted free agent in 2016. You bounce around with four teams before you find a home with the Lions. What did it take to keep creating your own opportunities and forcing people to turn their heads and go, hey, Kalif Raymond can play?
Yeah, wow. Lot of definitely a lot of resilience. And I go back to the kind of just that gratitude and being humbled is because like I said, the Mr. Nelson, he brought me to there. You know, my mom obviously, my parents helped me a lot, getting me to that point. And I learned so many lessons, whether it be from my teammates at Holy Cross, my friends at Holy Cross, just going through the entire journey, it taught me a lot about resilience. Being in the snow, I mean, there's just you were kind of just stacking on what it meant to be resilient in life, and no, it definitely took a lot. But I wasn't the only reason that I was there. I had a lot of help along the way, even at Holy Cross. My senior year, I've had a lot of alumni that I reached out to kind of give me peace of mind so I could focus on football. Craig Saratani being one of them, he was a graduate from Holy Cross. He helped me a lot, give me peace of mind, kind of helped me set up my resume as a backup plan, which let me focus on. I mean, I had so much help to get there. So it kind of established that. And the coolest part about it, which I actually don't get to talk about a lot, but I only get to talk about it when I'm talking to kids like a camp or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Holy Cross and having to be such a student athlete, it allowed me to survive a lot in the NFL as well. One, I had to be resilient. I had to make sure that whatever lesson I learned one year, I didn't get cut for the same reason. But one of my biggest keys was I was dependable, but I was dependable because I knew the playbook. But I knew the playbook because when you're balancing that minor in computer science, you got a major in econ, and you have football practice. You have to learn to be a student as well, and allow me to be a student of the game, which granted me more opportunities because they knew, hey, we can put him out there and he'll know what to do, which is huge but I had to be prepped for that, and I'm thankful to have gone to Holy Cross and had those battles, but to also have been a student athlete because it kind of it saved me and gave me a couple more opportunities here in the NFL. So.
I'm glad you pointed that out because when we were in a similar episode of the podcast talking with CJ Hansen before the NFL draft
Yeah,
this year, he
like a
said
season.
his offensive line interviews with owners, general
Yep.
managers, coaches, anyone from the organization felt more like a job interview than he
Yep.
expected. There's very few players that just on natural God given ability get a shot in the NFL. So you feel like he did that Holy Cross really prepped you to study, learn,
Yes.
prepare in a different
Oh,
way?
absolutely. I mean, tonight I'm going to go home tonight and and have to study my plays. But to build in that discipline, it takes a lot, especially in the sport that we play. So no, I'm so thankful for it. It's almost like in a lot of ways, that's one of the legs up that I'll be able to give is because I had to learn to be a student. But if you can go out there and you talk about God given ability. If you don't know what to do, you can't access it. But if you know what to do, now you kind of become on the advantageous part of the play, and it helps you a lot. So, yes, sir.
And for players like CJ, I feel like you're really paving a path. You can have it all if you come to Holy Cross. Great education, championship winning football, and you can get to the league. Jalen Coker, Benton
Yep.
Lee, Liam Anderson. How are you
Yep.
guys seeing the awareness of Holy Cross football expand around the
Oh
league?
man, it's been really, that was one of the first questions I asked. I was like, hey, do we got any guys in the NFL? Just because you're going D1 AA, everybody hears the whole D1 spill, and but obviously the guys that are looking at Holy Cross, they also have that awareness that like, hey, you know what, I do need to be somewhere academic. There is life after football. There is always going to be a plan B, and I want to be prepped for that. So it's great to have a place like Holy Cross that kind of offers both of those worlds. Um, But no, watching over the last couple of years, we it kind of feeds into that too. The more guys we get him, like, hey man, just so you know, we got 5 or 6 guys a year. Asante, I actually saw him in camp with the Giants too, and he ended up graduating before he went to Wyoming or whatever. So it's been really, really cool to see all the guys that are here. I got to see CJ, I got to see him in preseason, everything like that. I saw Benton as well. I haven't got a chance to hug on Jalen, but I don't even know if we play him this year. But if we do, he's also, I got to see he got a chance to play. I'll tell you what, that was a really cool moment. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I was watching his highlights the other day, and
Yeah.
he had his first NFL catch. It was like an 18-yard out route. And they're like, Jalen Coker, wide receiver out of Holy Cross. And I was like, wow, I've heard the wide receiver out of Holy Cross, but to hear that and it be a different receiver, I mean, it was one of the coolest things to just hear that in sequence. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. It means so much to even guys that are playing now and guys looking to come to Holy Cross to be able to see Holy Cross's name on that level and on that stage and that platform was just really cool. So I was really proud.
Holy Cross becoming a factory for
Yep.
wideouts in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, we got 3 guys, so that's awesome, man.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll relive Kalif's journey from Holy Cross to the NFL right here on Sader Stories.
We are UMass Memorial Health, and innovation is something that defines us, that drives us to discover new ways to provide answers and hope, to provide opportunity and access and equity for everyone, to redefine what medicine can do and how it can heal relentlessly.
Bacon. Good morning, everybody. Nothing like the Jersey Mike's morning prep. The sizzling bacon, the slicing of the tomatoes, the bopping of the fresh lettuce.
Danny, what are you doing up there?
I've been living up here for months.
Got a package from Mr. DeVito?
Oh, my bacon sniffing horn. Oh, smell that bacon. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, now we're talking. Freshly prepped every morning. It's a Jersey Mike's thing, a sub above.
Leadership and excellence. In competition, in the classroom, in the community. For decades, Crusader Athletics has focused on our topmost commitment, elevating every student athlete. To reach for more, to grow more, to achieve more. Help us to continue to strengthen minds, build character, and celebrate together as one Crusader nation. Because when we commit together, we win together. Join us, Crusaders together.
Just 2 home games remain for Holy Cross football. Get to Fit and Field on Saturday, November 9th and Saturday, November 16th to help the Crusaders push for a record 6 straight Patriot League championship. Help us create the best atmosphere in the league. For tickets, visit goholycross.com/tickets. I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm joined by Kalif Raymond, Detroit Lions wide receiver and 2024 Holy Cross Varsity Club Hall of Fame inductee. Kalif, can you believe that? 5 straight Patriot League titles for Holy Cross football, going for a 6th. I know you're busy with the Lions, but how often are you able to see some highlights and tune into what the Crusaders are doing?
Unreal. So happy for those guys. I actually had Coach Chesney's contact a few years back, last year, and just to congratulate a lot of those guys. So it's been really cool, especially seeing what these guys are doing now. We always said we called it the PLC. For 4 years straight, we were trying to get the PLC, the PLC, the PLC, and it seemed like a distant dream. But to have 5 going for a 6 is outstanding for Holy Cross. So those are some really, really cool core memories those guys are making.
Let's look back to your earliest days. Freshman year at Holy Cross, you found a role returning kicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a similar path you took in the NFL. How has the return game helped you grow most as a receiver?
Wow. I mean, especially in the NFL, it's for smaller guys, for smaller receivers, particularly undrafted. You look at a lot of Julian Edelman's, Danny Amendola, all of those guys, for the smaller, shorter returners, even Tyreek Hill. The returners, that's how they paved the way to be receivers. And it's funny because I remember when I was in college, my freshman year, coach said he would never put a freshman back there, and he ended up putting a freshman back there, and it ended up working out well. But I remember after that, we had a coach here, our special teams coach, did not. he made us catch punts before practice, 5 minutes before. So everybody else is in the locker room. All the returners are out catching punts before practice. And I remember he would yell. I have my track pants on. I mean, I'm ready for track practice. I'm coming off track practice already as it is. And he would yell at us. We were even a minute late. He would yell at us. And I remember things like, we out here early, coach. It's not that big of a deal. But he made sure we out there, and he made a point for us to be out there 5 minutes early. We did that for an entire year. And I didn't know then how helpful it would be now, because when I finally got to the NFL, I was like, wow, now that you're back here, there's 60,000 people watching you, and you have to take care of the football, make sure you catch it, make the right decision, all that. You wish you had more punts that you've caught. You wish, like, oh man, I wish I caught more. I wish I've seen more. I wish I've done it more. So it was such a blessing to be able to do that for 4 years at Holy Cross, because when I got to the NFL, I was prepped so much by having to catch them before practice or after practice, having to catch them 4 years in a game. It allowed me to be more comfortable, and even allowed me to, because I had some struggles as well, but a lot of the foundation was built to allow me to overcome it. So it's helped a ton. It's actually, like I said, the return is the way I was paved the way to be able to play receiver, because if you can make some plays in a return game, they'll throw you a pass or two. So.
Yeah, you turned yourself into a weapon at Holy Cross, offense, special teams. Over the course of your career, you averaged more than 100 all-purpose yards per game. That's like a touchdown per game. Who were some of the teammates who really helped you achieve such consistency in your career?
Wow. Definitely ended up being my best friends. Here comes at my wedding. They were actually, the funniest thing is they were DBs. So Steve Martinez, Davnis Atkins, Kobe Sibo, and they were just and some of the wideouts as well. Darius Lacey. I mean, there's so many guys, but those DBs, they helped me a lot, because they they were my best friends. They pushed me. But also, they're DBs, so they have more of a tenacious attitude. And to be able to feed off that, to be challenged by them every week at practice, it meant a lot. So it helped a lot. Sure.
You have a tremendous career at Holy Cross in the Patriot League, stacking up all league honors. You graduate in 2016, draft comes and goes, nothing there, nothing assured in the NFL.
Yeah.
How do you navigate the post-draft process to land your first opportunity with the Broncos?
Wow, actually, so I remember where I was at. We were those same guys I just named, Dab, Steve, Kobe. We were all rooming together in Williams, and I remember calling my agent, and originally it was the Cardinals called, and they offered 1,000, and then Denver called after, and we told them that they Cardinals offered too, so they ended up offering too. But no, it was tough. Like I said, I watched the drive. I don't want to say I skipped class. I don't think I had class at that moment, which thankfully I didn't. So I was able to kind of just sit and watch the draft and be on call for my agent. And it's an interesting process because I was the only one going through it at the time. And I remember finally getting a call, signing with Denver, and everybody's like screaming and yelling and everything like that. It's like, oh man, like you signed. And for that part, it was really, really cool. But for me, all I could think about was, okay, wow, I really just signed. So once the hoorah is over, I actually had to go make this work. So immediately after I signed, everybody was yelling, and I went straight to like, okay, what do I have to do next? Because the opportunity is here now. It's real as of right now. So my mind already went into working mode just to figure out how to get better. What can I do? What can I prepare? What can I do in advance to make sure I get my best shot when we get there? So that was part of it. It's like after everything was all said and done, it was like, okay, I got to find a way to get to work. If I can work out right now, let's go right now. So it was a cool process, but like I said, at that point in time, there was no precedent for it. So I kind of didn't have anybody to like bounce off of and ask questions to figure out what to do next. It was kind of just, I'm going to work in whatever direction I can and hope for the best. So.
And they made you grind it out too. From 2016 to 2018, nothing guaranteed. You bounce around rosters, practice squads, Denver, New York, and then it feels like Tennessee is where your NFL career started to change. How did it change your life in general once you realized I can be someone in the NFL?
Wow. It was I'll tell you what, that journey was, it taught me a lot about myself. It was definitely not easy. I saw some highs, but I also saw some low part of myself that I had to really climb out from. A lot of doubt, fear, anxiety, all the things that come with such an intense and emotional sport. It was definitely tough. And then by the time I got to Tennessee, I was starting to figure out who I was, not only as an NFL player but as a man as well. Just trying to figure out who I was because when you first come out, I mean you're a baby. I came out 21 years old maybe, and I know the day that I became a man. So, and I was in Tennessee. I want to say I had signed with Tennessee. I had just signed with Tennessee, and I was in the offseason of my first offseason with Tennessee. It was the day I became a man. Prior to that point, I was a baby. I was a pup. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know left from right. Everything was my first car, first apartment, everything was my first. So, navigating all that was incredible. And then not to mention, it was tough going early on, bouncing around teams. I actually had somebody tell me a long time ago, they said, you don't become a pro till after you change your first team. You have to change your routine, the people all the comforts that you had, everything changes in the blink of an eye, and you have to learn how to adapt. And I struggled for early on with that because it's a process to it. But to be able to struggle with that, be a professional. I'm so used to college and having that team camaraderie, and then it changes like that. So I mean, it was very new and very tough to deal with. And by the time I got to Tennessee, I started to kind of find my footing a little bit of who I was, who I wanted to be, even as an NFL player. And when I finally got to Tennessee, it kind of like all meshed at the same time. I've kind of found out who I was. I kind of grew up a little bit. I became a man in the business. And at the same time, I was given an opportunity at Tennessee. So it kind of just the timing was really, really cool. But I couldn't be more grateful too, because had I not gone through the struggle those first 3 or 4 years, I don't know the person I'd be handling the success and the stagnation, the comfort of being, no, I have a home here at this place. I wouldn't have handled the success in the way, at least I think I would have, had I not gone through everything in the beginning. So it made me a better person. It made me a better man. But I'll tell you what, it was not for the faint of heart. It was one of the toughest journeys I've had.
Let's take one last break. When we return, Kalif looks ahead to his Varsity Club Hall of Fame induction ceremony and the rest of the NFL season right here on Sader Stories.
Football is back here at City Field in Worcester.
Fuller, touchdown! On his feet, touchdown!
Many financial advisors are commission-based advisors that work for a bank. At Car Financial, we work for you. Our primary focus is helping our clients achieve their goals. You worked hard in your career. You've earned your retirement. Now let us show you how to make the most out of what you have. We're here to answer your investment, retirement, income tax, and estate planning questions. Through every stage of life, we're here for you. Call us at Car Financial Group today.
Basketball is back in the heart of the Commonwealth. Oh, are you kidding me? Great move in the paint. Wide open. Waiting in for three. Back-to-back Patriot League tournament titles for the College of the Holy Cross.
Holy Cross basketball is back at the Hart Center. Men's and women's basketball single game tickets are now on sale. Pack the stands to help Holy Cross beat New England rivals like Harvard and Boston College. For tickets, call or text 1-844-GO-CROSS or visit goholycross.com/tickets. I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. We're celebrating 2024 Holy Cross Varsity Club Hall of Fame inductee Kalif Raymond from Crusader football and track. All right, Kalif, you signed with Detroit back in 2021, and it seems like everything just took off from there. All pro returner in the NFL in 2022. Now you're arguably with maybe the most exciting franchise in the NFC. What's the culture like in Dan Campbell's facility right now with this new winning culture for the Lions?
The staff is built similarly to him, and Phip actually coached, which I especially coach. He actually coached at Holy Cross, and he plays this song every morning called "Fast Car" by Tracy Chapman. And he said it reminds him of his time on Mount St. James. He said he would wake up in the morning like 5, 6 o'clock, 5,000 a year salary. He would just hit the button and go for. I mean, a 21-hour day, and then he'd wake up the next morning and do it again. But it was so cool because that lifestyle, the grind, the grittiness of even being at Holy Cross and having a bout of that as with student athletes, stuff like that. Like he understands it, the staff understands it, and so they trickle that down, and that's the players and the guys they bring in, who've been through some adversity. I think somebody asked me the coolest part about the team a couple years ago, and I was like, if you look at the roster, I mean, everybody top down has gone through something in their careers or in life, but especially as NFL players, they've gone through something, they have to overcome some adversity. So you bring a lot of guys like that together, and you bring a foundation, and then you add on some skill and some talent and some just good people as well. And then you start to grow on that. Eventually, that's going to snowball a little bit. And where we are now, it's just a bunch of gritty guys ready to work every day. So it's pretty cool.
And as someone who used to live in Lansing, Michigan, when I was starting out my broadcasting career, I knew a lot of gritty Lions fans who were there through thick and thin every Thanksgiving Day, every year, hoping that the playoff drought would end. You guys have finally delivered a whole new era. What was it like in the NFC Championship in Santa Clara against the 49ers last year? I know it didn't end up going your way, but how did that build a momentum for this season?
What's crazy is as big as that game was, the first playoff win, and I was injured at the time, so I got to see more of the environment less than the game. It was one of the most emotional games. That first win, you could just feel the energy, you could feel the crowd, you could feel the history in the city. I remember just being like, wow, like just hearing the crowd roar at the end. I was just like, wow, like it was an unreal moment during that game, and that kind of trickled in. We had the Bucks after that, and we kind of just fed off that energy. But that first one that we got, it was just like it was almost like a statement, a stamp was being put down for who the Lions plan to be in the future, just as an organization. And it was such a cool moment to be a part of, to be there, to witness it, to have been on the field during that moment. That right there, kind of like so we carried that energy, and it was a building block to build off of this year. So,
yeah, teams in the NFC weren't ready for a playoff Ford Field. That's a whole different
yep,
level.
yeah, it was loud as it. I mean, there were times. I mean, we were at home, and I couldn't hear anything. I was like, I can't hear the defense, I can't hear the offense, especially I don't know what's going on. So it was really cool.
So considering the love that the city has for the Lions, last year you signed a 2-year extension. Congratulations again. Job security is so tough to find in the NFL. What does it mean to have a home like this in the NFL?
Man, it's a blessing. We have a fence on our practice field, and I remember telling somebody the other day, man, I was like, man, I drove by the fence one day and I looked, and I was like, wow, what a blessing it is to be able to look on the other side and to be on the other side of that fence. But it's something I'm so thankful and I appreciate, but also at the same time, I've seen the other side of it too. So you constantly have the same mindset that oh man, like no day is just a given day, no moment, it's just a moment that I'm entitled to. I have to come out here every day to work because when you don't know how long it's gonna last. So my gratitude and appreciation for that is to continue working. Because like I said, I've seen the other side, what it's like to have to bounce around. I've slept in the car before. I've not have no unpacked bags. I've had all my stuff. I've lived in the car for about 2 years trying to figure out where I'm gonna go. I've seen that side of it. I've experienced that side of it. So for me, it's something I won't forget. And by not forgetting, the way I show myself for appreciation, that is continue working. So.
and you're showing great appreciation, not just to your college, but to fans, to teammates, former coaches. And now you get an opportunity to address them all. I know your wife is a Holy Cross alum. I can only imagine how special this induction ceremony is going to be on November 16th. Have you had a chance to think about what you're going to say in your speech and how you're going to explain what all of this means to the Holy Cross community?
Yeah, I mean, it was there's so many little things being there, but I mean, I some of the names that I was naming you, telling you, like I said, even Lawrence Nelson being there, Coach Kaz, my first year there. Like I said, he was actually the one that made the decision on. He said, I'll never put a rookie back there, a freshman back there, and he put me back there. He gave me an opportunity. Coach Rock, my senior year, Coach Gilmore with the less. I mean, but. I mean, it's just my mom helped me every year. Like I said, Mr. Lawrence was there every step of the way. You know, my best friend, the one I was telling you about, he actually ended up going to Princeton. And college football games are practically on the same day. And so he found ways to not miss any of his games, but still be at some of my games at Holy Cross. So it was, you know, the person who I am now, as far as the man that I am now, the vision I have, the reason I'm at Holy Cross, the reason why I chose Holy Cross, the reason why I even looked at Holy Cross had a lot to do with him. So him being there, we actually, one of my roommates, and just from a student athlete perspective, is tougher than most. I give him a lot of credit. He's always down on himself with this and this. I'm like, man, look, he brought the car up. There were times where, you know, there was no way I was getting from point A to point B. I couldn't even go to a job interview without the car that he gave. He was like he had the car for the room. I'll never forget. There's the summers that we had there. You know, I've had teammates let me stay with them at some point. My first year there actually. A quarterback and a lineman and a linebacker ended up being my mentee. They let me sleep on the couch because they're like, you know, you want to come here early, we'll let you sleep on the couch. I mean, for no charge, they just let me stay there. So there was just so much help on the way, and so much stuff that we had to go through. So I just have a lot of people to thank, a lot of memories made, and just being on Mount St. James. One of those precious moments that I always appreciate and it was brutal. It was brutal, but it taught me so much about myself. So I stayed in the dome my freshman year, practically at the top of the hill. You're mentioning Hart. That's at the very, very top of the hill. So I'll walk down. I think they changed the name, so I'm not gonna mention it because it was a different name back when I was a freshman. I'll walk all the way down to the bottom to Kimball. And if you had a 8 o'clock class or 8 o'clock lift, you had to sign in by breakfast by 7:20. And it's snowing negative something degrees. I mean, it's brutal, but I know I have to go all the way down to Kimball to grab food and then go all the way back up to Hard to get some food. And I mean, to go lift. And it was just that walk. It taught me so much about myself. I mean, we're practicing in snowstorms. I mean, it's just so much stuff that I was so appreciative because I didn't know how much growth was going to happen at me during that time. So I've had a lot of help along the way. So it'll be a lot of giving thanks and appreciation to the people that got me here. So
I love to hear that. And Kalif, I know I speak for so many Crusaders when I say it has been incredible to watch your journey from, you know, an injured high schooler just emailing for an opportunity, graduate, an all-pro returner, and now a Holy Cross Hall of Famer. Can't wait to see you at the induction ceremony in November. Thank you again, and best of luck this season. Maybe a Super Bowl title coming
we're pushing soon enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks again. And my thanks to everyone for tuning in. We ask that you tell your fellow Crusaders about Satyr Stories. It's available anytime on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you love hearing these Satyr stories, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Kevin Gale. Go Cross Go.